that's a little odd mashup, and it might seem that it didn't exactly match, and it may not have matched exactly, but two of my favorite guitarists have two separate songs that I just kind of grabbed an interesting commonality to kind of show off. And that's Kim Mitchell and his song Patio Lanterns, Alex Lifeson of Rush, and Closer to the Heart. So those are two little recognizable components of those songs. What's neat about them is they really focus on the D, G, and B string. So it's interesting when we're trying to make a good little run or a good statement, we kind of reduce the number of strings we play on, and this is very helpful to appreciate. Now, most of us are pretty familiar with the cage system. This is where you can take the shapes of open chords, the C, the A, G, E, and D, and then find other representations of a particular chord in the different shape. So for instance, if I have a C chord here, I can play a C chord with an A shape here. And it goes on from there. Cage is wonderful, does great stuff, but it's complicated. There's a lot of things. And what I'm going to talk about today is something that I like, that I see in those two earlier songs by Kim Mitchell and Alex Lifeson. This idea of just focusing on the three strings. And the system that describes that well, to my mind anyway, is called fad. And so if I just take a three-stringed F chord, A chord, and kind of a funny looking D, but still on just those three strings, I have the open chords, if you like, F, A, D, and I can express individual chords up and down the neck in those shapes. As an example, in an A shape I can have a G chord. More correctly, a G triad, but we get the idea. I can also play it here. And I can play it a little more interestingly up here in the D shape. Now, I'm only focusing on the G, the D, and the B string. And so that doesn't mean I can't drone other strings. That is what happens in Kim Mitchell's and Alex Lifeson's songs. But the idea is I'm just focusing on those three shapes and finding the places where those chords show up. Same idea, I can have an A chord, and I know I have an A chord here. A triad if you prefer. But you get the idea. This is pretty simple. And you might say, well, it's so simple, who cares? Well, I like this fad system whenever I need an introduction to a song. I just want something to pick that's easy to pick, that I can easily control, and I can either move over the fretboard or I can find related chords nearby, which is great. But there's actually a secret power to this that we're going to talk about. I'm going to try to do this in several videos, so keep watching for anything that I put out that has fad in it. And if you do get the chance, I appreciate it if you subscribe. Always good to try to grow the channel. But the idea here is I'm really going to focus on this idea of just working on those three strings. And so where's the power of this? What's so magical about it? Well, here it is. If I have, we'll just say an A chord, the A triad, and I said to myself, wow, that's great. I'd really like to play the major pentatonic. What's the major pentatonic associated with this shape? Well, this is in the first position of the major pentatonic scale. Easy to find. So I know whenever I have this shape, I can play a pentatonic down here. If I want to be moving around. And you'd say, well, okay, that's great, but my favorite pentatonic shape is really position 1. I don't want to be in position 2. Oh, position 2. Is right there. And so now we start catching on. The shape is exactly that representative or show and tell, if you like, for the pentatonic scale that we're interested in, or the major scale or a related minor scale if you wanted to. But the whole idea is you get the idea. We've got a natural match. So if I'm playing my even an A bar chord, but I know I want to find the pentatonic, there's the position 1 pentatonic. I've got the position 2 pentatonic associated with this. What about that D shape? We did the F shape and the A shape, the D shape. Well, the D shapes weird. Let's just go with that. If I wanted the A chord, it would be here. And we look at that and we go, I'm not seeing that. What exactly am I looking at? Well, we have to kind of think about the different pentatonic boxes and the different pentatonic box shapes, or we can just count up to this position from the shape we know. Well, we know that this is the form 2 sitting here. Well, if that's form 2, form 3, you can have form 4. So that's exactly the shape we have. That's in the form 4 pentatonic. Now, you may or may not be comfortable playing in the form 4 pentatonic. It's not that terrible. So I flub it. But we get the idea. Once we know where we are, we know where else we could look. So if I was in my form 4 position for the D and I said, boy, I really want form 1, well, I understand where it's going to be located. It's going to be located off this string in the A shape. And so we've got an easy way of finding the different shapes that we're going to want to be using to play our pentatonic scales. And that's really the power of, for me anyway, of the FAD system. I don't have to think about very many things. I just really have to worry about where the pentatonic sits, where the different shapes work properly, and whether I want to be working up and down the keyboard, or fretboard I should say, or if I want to be moving to a particular place and staying in one position. Hope this is a good sort of eye-opener for the value of the FAD system. So I'm going to be talking more about how this fits into my understanding of the guitar and how it might help you understand it better too. Again, if you get a chance, please like and subscribe. Always good to grow the channel.